We are officially in July. It is my birthday month. We're in the middle of the summer. This is the time of year that I love. And it also means we are midway through the year, which means it is time for the mid-year book freakout tag. This tag is originally created by Earl Grey Books and Is That Chammy, but I've taken my questions from Gavin's video, from How to Train Your Gavin. Gavin posted a video with a couple of changes or tweaks to the questions, and I've kind of done the same thing and basically taken out questions that I don't think are relevant to me. I mean, I'm looking at them over here. I'm saying taken out. The two that I've removed is newest fictional crush, because I just don't get fictional crushes. It's just not a thing for me. The closest I've ever come to it is Henry and Addie LaRue, but I just don't get fictional crushes. And also a book talk recommendation that I didn't enjoy or regretted reading. I don't really go on book talk. Like, I post occasionally to my own, but my TikTok feed is more... I don't even know what my TikTok feed is. I don't seem to go into the book talk algorithm when I'm scrolling through TikTok, and I don't really know why. So I haven't really picked up books from TikTok either, so I thought that probably wouldn't be too relevant. So that has left me with a slightly adjusted list and a couple of additions I think that I've pulled over from Gavin's list as well. And I'm going to be looking back at my own goals that I set at the start of this year and see whether I've actually managed to achieve them. So without further ado, let's jump on in. So the first question is, how has your 2023 reading year been so far? So what I did this year is I set out to achieve 0 specific goals. I basically wanted to read one book this year as my reading goal on Goodreads and any other platform I use to log my reading, and I did that because I wanted to remove the pressure of having to read a certain amount of books by a certain amount of time and feeling like I was reading to get to that goal rather than to read to actually enjoy what I was reading, which is one of my goals that I'll discuss later that I had at the start of this year. So with that in mind, I've smashed my goal of one book for the year by reading 53 books so far this year. 53 I think is pretty damn decent. I've had months where I've read 4 books, I've had months where I've read 10 books. It's been a varied year so far, but I feel like I've tried to read lots of different books and different stories, which kind of goes into one of my goals as well that I'll discuss at the end of this video. So I think I've had a good reading year. When I look back on what I've read, there's really been a mix. There haven't been as many oh my god reads as I would have liked. There haven't been quite as many that I've thought, yeah, that is an absolute fave. But there have been some really, really good reads. So I think it's been good. Reflectively, it has been good so far, and I hope that it continues to be good. I always read more in the summer because the long, hot, sunny days are my favourite reading environments, so I love to go outside and read in those days when I can. I also tend to read quite a lot in October because I just fall fully into my horror phase. I try and read horror intermittently throughout the year if I can, but I really go into it in October, so I tend to read quite a lot then as well. So I feel like the year hopefully is only going to get better. The next question is, what is the best book I've read so far this year? This was tricky, not gonna lie. This was really hard. The one I've gone for is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. If you have read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, you will get the vibe of the writing. This book is to gamers, to book lovers, what Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is for gamers. This is all about a love of reading. It's about a passion for books and how books bring people together. The blurb for this gives you like the very start of the book, and then it's so much more than that. The initial concept is that a man runs a bookshop. He's not very happy. He's not in a good place, and he finds a young child left on the bookshop floor, and he has to look after them. That is very much the start, and that is the thing that opens the doors to so many other things that happen in this book. And it's a beautiful story, it's beautiful writing, and anybody that loves reading, which I assume you probably do if you're watching this video, will love this book, because honestly it's just stunning and it's heartwarming and it's emotional, and just so much about it was brilliant and I loved it. I was also considering giving this spot to Wild by Cheryl Strayed. That is a non-fiction it's a memoir following Cheryl Strayed on her journey across the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail, which is this really long hike that goes from the border of Mexico to the border of Canada. She takes this on following the death of her mum and trying to deal with that grief and trying to find out who she is as well on this trail, and that was just beautiful. That's also a film. The film was fantastic. That book really surprised me by how much I loved it. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, and it was just, the audiobook was amazing. But that was fantastic. But I think this has to have top spot because It was fab. The best sequel I've read so far this year, I think might be the only sequel I've read this year. Have I read more? No, I think I read One Piece Volume 2. Well, I know I did. I did read One Piece Volume 2. So that was a sequel. But I have put A Thousand Country Roads in here by Robert James Waller. This is the sequel to The Bridges of Madison County, which is one of my favourite books of all time. It's also the first book I read this year as a reread. This book follows on from the first one, but gives us a look into a gap that we have in the first book. The first book kind of ends and then gives us like a follow-up at the end of it, and this is in between the end of the book and the follow-up that we get in the first book. The way I kind of describe this book is when you've gone on a really long journey with a series and you just want to see the characters happy and just existing and living their normal lives, this book kind of gives you that as a follow-up to The Bridges of Madison County, which is obviously only one book, so it's not like you've had a big epic journey, but you just get to see these characters just existing outside of the first plot. And it's beautiful. It wasn't as good as The Bridges of Madison County, which was fantastic. That's a book about an affair, a very fleeting affair between a National Geographic photographer and a woman who's in a very unhappy marriage, or just isn't happy in general, really, and she just wants a bit more from life, and they meet and they have this affair over a couple of days and then they part, and it's that story. And then this shows us each of those characters after that moment. And it was beautiful, so this is my favourite sequel for the year. Any release that I haven't yet got to. This would be Looking Glass Sound by Katrina Ward. I keep saying I want to read this, I keep telling myself I'm going to read it. I don't even know that much about this, I'm not going to lie. This is an ARC. I don't actually have the finished copy for this, which I probably should get. This came out in April. I was so excited to receive this ARC because I devoured The Last House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward. It was so good. One of my favourite books of last year. So as soon as I knew this was coming out, I was like, I'm gonna love it, I cannot wait. Haven't yet read Sundial either by Katrina Ward, so I probably need to do that. I'm sure it wasn't a fluke, that it was just one of their writing that I would enjoy, but I really need to get to this. I don't even remember what it's about. The tagline at the top says, "Writers are monsters, we eat everything we see." I mean, it's gonna be a psychological horror type of thing, because that's just what Katrina Ward does fantastically in The Last House on Needless Street. It says it's a new literary thriller sensation. Dark and haunting tale of obsession and betrayal. Why haven't I read it yet? I don't know, but I want to read this before the end of the year. I'm now just noticing that the cover is like a reverse of itself as well, so I don't know if there's going to be like some alternate version of events, alternate reality. I don't know. Why haven't I read this yet? Okay, I'm escalating this on the TBR. It's happening. Most anticipated read for the second half of the year. I am tentatively putting Heartstopper Volume 5 here, because I think that's meant to come out in November, but I'm very lost with Heartstopper release dates now, because I think in my video I did for the most anticipated reads of the year, that would have been at the end of last year, I think I thought it came out earlier on in the year, so I don't know what to believe anymore, but I am so hyped for that. This series, the Heartstopper series, is just beautiful, and I think it just is so timeless and gorgeously told, and just gives you so many moral lessons and values throughout its pages, and I just love it for that. So I cannot wait for Volume 5. I also can't wait for Series 2 of the TV show. We've just had a teaser trailer drop over the weekend, and I'm so excited. So that one has to go in for most anticipated, although I don't know. Is it coming out this year? I hope it is, but I don't know anymore. My biggest disappointment of this year was Paris by the Book by Liam Callanan. This was shit. It was so bad. It was about a woman whose husband went missing and she managed to track him to Paris. So she moves her whole family to Paris to try and find him, but doesn't even look for him. It was so stupid. I really disliked it. I did this whole video of reading books set in Paris, or set in France, before I went to Paris earlier this year, and that was one of the books I read for that video. I just wanted to whack my head against a wall a little bit. It just felt so frustratingly strung together. Like, the whole plot premise on the blurb was that it was all about this journey of this woman trying to find her husband, and then you get over there and she's just like, they've completely adapted to living in Paris. It's where they've got a business now, and like the kids are going to school there, and it's like this whole thing is just stemmed off of the back of her searching for her husband. And if that was the point of the book, that it was like, okay, we're not really looking for the husband, we're looking for like a different life for her, that's fine, but it didn't angle it in that direction at all, and it just frustrated the hell out of me. So that was, I'm putting that in as my biggest disappointment. It's not like I expected amazing things from it, but I bought it because it was a book about books and it was set in France. So yeah, it wasn't good. It really wasn't. The biggest surprise for this year has been The Daughters of Izdihar by Hadir Elspey. This was so good. I think this is a duology. I'm so excited for the second one to come out. This is a political fantasy amazing story thing with elemental magic. It's a LGBTQ romance. This has so many brilliant aspects to it. We're following two different characters who are both in different ways trying to campaign for their freedom and stand up for what they believe in an environment and a world that is treating them differently for who they are. And we are seeing them kind of, their stories weave together. And the magic system in this is just so much fun. I love elemental magic systems. I've always loved that kind of thing where everyone has different abilities and can harness different elements with those abilities. It's just so fun. This was brilliant. I picked it up not really knowing much, not really expecting much, but it was one of those books where I saw it online, went into a shop, bought it, and then read it immediately and just really enjoyed it. So this is my answer for this question. I don't know, what was the question? Hang on, biggest surprise. It's this. I don't know why necessarily it felt like a surprise. I think it's more that I had no expectations. That was more what it was, and then ended up loving it. Favourite new author was tricky because I feel like I've discovered so many fantastic new authors this year, so I was trying to pick one based on just one of their books that I've read, which is tricky. And I ended up going for Anita Kelly. Anita Kelly wrote Something Wild and Wonderful. They also have another book that I've got on my TBR that I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Hang on, I'm going to find out. Love and Other Disasters. I have that one on my TBR as well. I read Something Wild and Wonderful a couple of weeks ago and it was just fantastic. It was just, it broke my heart and just made me smile so much at the same time and made me laugh, and it was just brilliant. It was such a heartfelt, wholesome book. Again, set on the PCT, similar to Wild by Cheryl Strayed. If you've been watching my content recently, you'll know I'm a little bit obsessed with the PCT and consuming all the content I can on it. So this book definitely fueled my soul for that, but it had a beautiful humour to it, and it had a really heartfelt story, and I loved the writing style. And I love the beauty in the imagery from that writing, and I just think Anita Kelly did such a fantastic job of creating the atmosphere, and I will now be reading more from them, so I'm excited. So now I'm skipping a question and going along to books that made me cry. So the book that always makes me cry is The Bridges of Madison County by Robert James Waller. That was a reread, so I'm also throwing something else in as an answer for this, but I love that book. I've already spoken about it as the first book to the series that I completed for 1,000 Country Roads, but it's just stunning, it's beautiful, and it's so short and fleeting that you just get so thrown into the story of passion, and it made me cry. But another book that I hadn't already read, that I have already spoken about, is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. This one really just emotionally broke me. I don't want to say more because I don't want to say why, but it just, yeah, that one got me as well. Most beautiful book of this year. Now, I struggled to pick this one because I receive both Fairy Loot and Illumicrate boxes. I'm a rep for both. I have got some really beautiful books on my shelves from those book boxes, and I couldn't pick. I was so struggling because they are all gorgeous, but the one I've gone for is not actually from a book box. It's an independent bookshop edition of Kate Morton's Homecoming. I kind of surprised myself with this one because I really thought I'd go for a book box book. And I think if I had received my Andrea Stewart books, I would probably include those because those are going to be stunning. There's a Bone Shard Daughter from Fairy Loot, and I'm so excited for those. However, I haven't received those, so I'm going for Homecoming. This edition might not look anything special, but for me, I find this so calming and beautiful. The colour scheme, it gives me all the summer vibes, and also, can we please appreciate those sprayed edges? I feel so silly picking something like this that's so simple versus something, versus something like this, which has these intricate sprayed edges, but there's just something about Homecoming that just gives me all the cozy, beautiful, minimalist, simplistic vibes whilst also having this beautiful design to it. This is also one of the most daunting books on my TBR. It's super chonky and I am definitely scared by it. My mum has read it and says it's fantastic, but I think it does. It's surprising me, but it's going on the list as, I think, the most beautiful book I've bought this year. Now, the next question is, what are the books I need to read before the end of the year? So, I mean, I just want to say all the books that I haven't currently read, but if I'm really trying to be picky about it, I have created a small stack, so I'll go through the stack quickly. Also just adding this one to the stack as well. And actually, and this one too. Okay, right, on the stack, we've got these. So, from bottom to top, I guess. Oh god, it's already wobbling. We've got First Time for Everything by Henry Fry. This sounds like it's going to be just a fun comedy, contemporary, LGBTQ romance. It reminds me of In at the Deep End by Kate Davies, which I really loved, and that is mainly why I picked it up, but I just feel like this is going to be some light relief, so I'm excited for that one. Then we've got Happy Place by Emily Henry. I don't really know much about this one, but I am excited to dive into it because I'm pretty sure it has a summer setting. It's giving me all those vibes. Hang on, wait, there's some pretty ombre spreads as well. See? There they are. But I am going to be doing a reading vlog very soon for this, so that one is definitely going to be read very soon. Then I've got Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. I am going to be visiting South Korea later this year, and this book is partially set around Korea. It's following a family spread over 100 years as they move from Korea to Japan and their story. So I think this one's going to be pretty heartfelt, but the reason that it's on here is because I want to be able to read it before I go to South Korea. Similarly with The Mountains Sing, this is by Nguyen Phan Quay Mai. This is set in Vietnam and is set over the Vietnam War, and that is also something I'm going to be visiting later this year. Again, would like to read that one for the same reason. Then I've got Han Kang's Greek Lessons. Again, look at the edges on this one. I'm really like working my arm out showing you these. Hang on a sec. So that one is on here because it is set in South Korea, and again I'm trying to read books set in South Korea and Vietnam before I go there. Oh wait, hang on, I'm missing some books from the top of this. I've just realised there's more. These two as well, for reasons that I will come into in a minute. Then we've got Looking Glass Sound by Katrina Ward, which, as discussed, I want to get to that one. Homecoming, which I think is really making this stack heavy, by Kate Morton, because it looks really good and I'm daunted by it, but I want to read it. Oh my god, this stack. Build Your House Around My Body, I've just added on by Violet Cooper-Smith. I just forgot to put it in the pile. This one I think is set in Vietnam, and again would like to read it because I'm going to Vietnam and would like to read as many books as I can before I go set there. And then we've got Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This one has been on my TBR since I read Kindred by Octavia E. Butler and adored it, so I would like to get to this one this year as well. Okay, I'm putting it down as a very heavy stack. Oh. Obviously there's many other books I would like to read, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to get to all of these, but that is my goal. I would definitely for sure like to, the Emily Henry I feel like is a guarantee because I know I'm going to be doing a reading vlog really soon for that, and then the books set in South Korea and Vietnam, I really want to make those top priority because I want to do a vlog where I read the books set there before I go. Okay, now I've done a workout. My favourite video I have made so far in 2023. I think that has to be my bedroom reset video that I made quite recently. I really enjoy watching those kind of videos and I really wanted to try my hand at doing my own, and whilst it became something a little bit different along the way, I had a lot of fun filming it, and I think that people hopefully enjoyed watching it. It was just something I'd like to do a little bit more of. I love integrating other parts of my life into my content, not just the book side of things. This year I've really tried to push into travel and lifestyle content as well, and I think that that video just kind of encompassed, yes, the book side of things in a way, because I was redoing my bedroom and getting a new bookshelf and unhauling books, but also more of like a lifestyle approach and productivity and things like that. So it kind of encapsulated what I enjoy watching in what I was creating. Generally, I'm just really, really proud of my content this year. I always am proud of my content, but this year I've really tried to up what I'm creating. I'm really, really working my ass off to try and come up with ideas that I think you guys are going to enjoy and things that I think I will enjoy filming. I've done things this year like creating the Cover to Cover series and the Wanderlust series, and I love that I've been able to integrate those things into my content, and I'm just so excited about the future of that content as well. So generally everything I've created for 2023, I just feel like I feel like I've upped everything I've been doing, and I hope that comes across. So I feel really excited about it and really good about it. But yeah, that video in particular I really loved doing. I think obviously anything where I've done Wanderlust episodes and Cover to Cover as well. My last Cover to Cover was my first one with a sponsorship, which was really exciting. So just generally, I'm really proud of myself, and I think it's important to celebrate that. A video I thought I would flop but ended up doing well. I've kind of got two different ones for this. Now, I will say if I think it's going to flop, I do assess why I think it's going to flop and is it worth me spending hours and hours of my time doing something if no one's going to enjoy watching it anyway. So I try and obviously make content that I think is going to do well, but sometimes there is content that I just really want to make myself, and I know that people probably won't care about it quite as much. So the two that I thought wouldn't do quite as well but did end up doing well, which were quite close together actually, was I read 2 of the Waterstones prize winners for 2022 at the start of 2023, and that was like the first vlog I did where I was trying to change my style a little bit and up my quality, and I think that comes across in that video, but I was worried that people wouldn't be as interested in it because it was a little bit different to the normal stuff I'd done, but people were interested, so that was good, and it makes me want to film more like that. And then the other one was my reading books set in Paris or set in France video, which I was doing as a kind of prelude to going to Paris, but I wasn't really sure how that video itself would do. But again, people really enjoyed it, so I'm really glad that both of those did fairly well. Any upcoming videos I'm excited to make? So yes, I think there is a lot upcoming, and my patrons get a sneak peek every month to what I have coming out that coming month. So there's a lot of exciting things coming, but I think the ones I am most excited about are going to be my Wanderlust videos for Vietnam and for South Korea. I cannot wait. I am so buzzed for this trip. I will be there in 2 months' time from filming this video, which it's so exciting. It's not a spontaneous trip necessarily, this one, but it's a trip that I didn't necessarily think I would push myself to go on, and I'm so glad that I have. So I'm going to be doing, well, the plan at the moment is that I'm going to be doing 2 vlogs. I'm going to be doing a Vietnam vlog and a South Korea vlog. Can you let me know if that's the way you want to see it split? Because I was talking with Katie about this, who's coming with me, and Katie is also a content creator on Instagram and YouTube, and I was saying about how frequently to do the vlogs, and we were talking about the merits of doing daily vlogs versus splitting them per country, and I'm not really sure. Like, I don't know if daily vlogs would be too much. I don't know if it'd be too much for me to film, whether you guys would want daily vlogs, or whether it's better to just keep it as a Vietnam vlog and a South Korea vlog, which is currently what I am leaning towards. I'm also living in fear that my memory card's going to corrupt or something whilst I'm over there. I always get this worry when I go somewhere that's like further away, because I always check my footage after I filmed it, and sometimes there's errors and I have to refilm. Most of the time, like 95% of the time, there isn't, but I just get paranoid. So there's a lot of pressure with the footage, but that doesn't make a difference. If I do daily vlogs or a week-long vlog, it doesn't make a difference because the footage is still going to be on the same memory card. So there's a little bit of fear there, but let me know what you would like for that. But I'm so excited about that video, or both videos, whatever it turns out to be, because I can't wait for the trip, and I really hope that you're going to enjoy coming along with me. It's not going to be strictly bookish, but I will of course be reading whilst I'm out there, but it's happening very soon. I'm very excited. Also, if you do ever want to travel with me, I will plug now my trip to Bali that I am organising for next year alongside Trover Trip. This is going to be in 2024 in September, and we are going to be going to Bali, which is like a paradise holiday. I'm so excited. I've tried to make it as accessible as possible and filled with as many different types of activities for people to enjoy as possible as well. But there are currently a few early bird, at the time of filming this, there's a few early bird tickets for that, remaining slots for that. So once those are gone, the price then does increase by $100. You have to pay a 25% deposit when you book, but the trip isn't until next year, so it gives you a fairly decent amount of time to save the rest of it as well. I'm just so excited. So if you would like to travel with me, I will leave the details for that link down below. The final question for this tag is any channel goals for the rest of 2023. So I do set myself goals across all my content for the start of the year to achieve by the end of the year. I like to try and make my goals something I think is achievable, but something I will have to push myself to get. And for YouTube, that is to hit 20k subscribers. Now, I actually don't think this one's achievable anymore. YouTube for me is something I absolutely love doing, and I consider YouTube probably now my main platform. I very first started in this community on Instagram, and that is still like a platform I consider like equally important. But if I had to pick one, YouTube, I love creating videos so much. I love photography, but I really love creating videos. So YouTube has always been something I've poured my heart and soul into, and as has Instagram. But YouTube is like really hard to be able to grow. I think a lot of people think you can create a channel and just immediately there will be growth, but there's a tactical side to it, there's an analytical side to it, an algorithm. You have to play to that, and it's tricky because you just never know what's going to be the thing that gets you there. Will there be one video that you'll post that will just be the one that does really well and just send everybody to your page? There's somebody I met recently at an event, and they had about 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, And this was about 4 months ago, and I went back to look at their channel last week and they've hit 100,000 YouTube subscribers. They did something very, very right. And it's just the question of knowing whether that's going to happen or not, and you don't really know. So 20,000 is my goal. I'm currently at 15.5k subscribers, so I don't know if 20k is going to be anywhere near realistic, but I'm going to continue working my ass off and trying to get there. Any support in this community means the world to me. Any signups to my Patreon, any likes, engagement, anything like that on any of my content across any platform is just so exciting and important, and this community online is just such a brilliant thing. So really it doesn't matter too much what the number is, but obviously it's nice to see people enjoying my content. So yeah, if I get there, I get there. I don't think I will, which is also fine. Like, I will get there eventually, I just don't know if it'll be by the end of this year. Now, I did jot down my goals that I said in the last video I did where I talked about goals. So I said I had 4 main goals. I don't know why I did like that, 4 main goals. But I also talked about a couple of other things that I wanted to achieve in 2023 to do with content and just generally other things as well. So I want to just talk about whether I've achieved them or not, because some of them I think I have and some of them I haven't. One of the ones that I said in the last video I filmed about this was that it was a goal in the back of my head, but it wasn't a specific goal I was setting for myself, because one of the things I wanted to achieve was to just kind of relax my reading a little bit, hence the whole read 1 book for the whole year goal. But that one is read more translated fiction, and I don't think I've done a good job of that. I have got a lot of translated fiction on my TBR, and I have read some this year, but I haven't read nearly as much as I would have liked to have. So that one is going to be something that I'm going to try and put to the front of my brain for the rest of 2023. I've also got read the books I really want to read, which is the main one, and that is the really important one for me, that I felt like when you create content for books, you can often just get caught up in reading to create the content around those specific books, and I've had to kind of shape a balance between the two, because obviously I'm reading to enjoy the books, and any books that I make content about, I want to read those books, but you do have to kind of organise it in a different way, and I think I have got better at that this year. I think I felt like I'm recognising when I need to dip in and out of that feeling and acknowledging it. Reading outside of my comfort zone and exploring new genres. I think I've done this. I think I have. Through my cover to cover series, I read recommendations from the booksellers, and I try and go in by saying what kind of recommendation I'm after. So obviously they're giving me a book they think I would enjoy, not just something completely random, but it is pushing me to read wider. And I'm trying to purchase books with that in mind as well. And I think I have kind of got there with this. I don't think I'm fully in it, but I'm getting there. Read more own voices. Specifically, I've said scoliosis and hypermobility rep, because these are both things I have. I haven't read anything with hypermobility or scoliosis rep, I don't think. I don't think I've read anything. But I also haven't necessarily been seeking them out, so that one I think I need to work better on. I have been reading more non-fiction. Like, when I say more, like not much, but a little bit of non-fiction, which is obviously including people's own voices, but I think I do also need to get better at that one. So generally we're a mixed bag of goals. Then my biggest goal that I said at the end of the video was to enjoy it and have fun, and that I have been doing. I have been enjoying it, and I've been enjoying the content I've been creating, and I've been having fun with it. So we've done that one. And then I've also added in this bottom one that I know was one of my own like resolutions for the year. I don't really set New Year's resolutions, because I find that I say them, I look at them and think about them for like a week, and then I just forget. But this one was a big mindset I wanted to change just going forward in life in general, and that was to actually do the things I say I want to do rather than just saying I want to do them. And I have done this. I am still doing it. I started off this year by going to Paris with Gav and with Sabine, and it was such a spontaneous trip. That was the first thing I did that was like that. I've also done that with Vietnam and South Korea. Vietnam has been somewhere I've wanted to go since I was at school, and to be able to be like, yes, let's do it, let's commit, is so exciting. And just there's a couple of other things as well that I've been doing, so I feel like that I've done a good job of, and I'm proud of myself for that. I'm just generally been trying to look after myself a lot more this year, and I think that's been working. I've started running to try and make myself feel as fit as I can and as healthy as I can, and I'm being more conscious of the way I'm looking after my body. I feel like this year in general has just been a year I've really tried to look after myself, and it's been working so far, and I feel really good for it, and I feel in a really good place right now. So this has turned into a bit of an emotional video now, but I am at the end of these questions. My camera is very overheated, so I'm going to wrap this up. But as I said, I will leave links down below to my Trover trip to Bali if you would like to come along. If you've got any questions about the trip, please, please, please send me a message on Instagram or Twitter, wherever you want to message me. Instagram is probably best because Twitter is just, don't even know what that is at the moment. But I know there's going to be, like, it's a big trip and there's going to be questions and I'm happy to answer anything. There is also a highlight on my Instagram story that goes into a little bit more detail about the itinerary and stuff and goes into questions that people have asked already. So if you have anything, it might be there, but if not, pop me a DM and I will be happy to answer. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to tidy up all these books around me now. I will see you in the next one.